Zimbabwean people are voting in historic elections. Dr. Godfrey Hove, a political analyst, joins us on the line from Harare in Zimbabwe. Thanks so much for your time, Dr. Hove. How closely are investors watching the elections, and what signals do they need to see to believe that Zimbabwe is indeed open for business?
Okay, thank you very much. From my analysis, I think everyone is looking forward to this election, not least investors, both local and foreign investors. But when I'm looking at the situation here, I think we already have a feel of what is probably going to happen. And the most interesting thing from this election that I'm seeing is that both of the main challengers are actually promising change, which is quite interesting. But I think that from the ZANU-PF side, we are not going to see much of different policies from what we have already seen. I know that these people have already been promising a lot of changes, but I think it's really about what actually happens when they are implementing these policies, where we are going to see much of a difference. So in short, I would say that investors are already looking forward to that, yes. But I think there is guarded, optimism from both investors and, the generality of Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm. Land reform is currently a large issue in South Africa with these hearings into the amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution. In Zimbabwe, land restitution was done to what was initial chaos, but there seems to have been a self-correction in that sector, especially in the tobacco sector.
Mm-hmm. We have heard the incumbent promising that they will revisit the land reform with a view maybe to make the land bankable, and perhaps also to try and revisit the whole issue of land sizes and who is occupying what land and how productively it is going to be used. But I think that while these promises probably make a lot of sense and so on, but land remains much of a political asset in Zimbabwe than it is an economic asset. So again, I do not think that a lot is going to change in that respect. There's going to be a lot of political pressure. I don't think that there's going to be really a very serious change insofar as current land distribution patterns are concerned.
Okay. So the mining sector in Zimbabwe has gotten a boost under President Emmerson Mnangagwa with that $4.2 billion mine owned by Karo. There's also a focus on a solar power plant, but there's a sense that with the revitalization of the economy, there needs to be perhaps a move away from old technologies and perhaps a focus on newer technologies like energy and the like to help propel the Zimbabwean economy forward.
Okay. I've seen, there's been a lot of groundbreaking ceremonies from President Mnangagwa, and especially in the mining sector and the solar energy you have made reference to. I think that there is much more to it, because these things have been happening even during the Robert Mugabe period. We have always heard about mega deals being signed. We have had huge figures being flaunted in the mainstream media. But I think the main problem that we have is that these deals and this so-called revitalization seems to exist more in the public praise than you actually see it changing the lives of ordinary people. So I think this has been more of political grandstanding than anything really. And even if these deals were to be true and were to be genuine, I think much more needs to be done in the management of these natural resources, particularly mineral resources. So I do not think that with the way things have been going, we are going to see a lot of change with regards to how the developments in the mining sector and in the economy in general are going to affect people on the ground. Mm-hmm. It will be more of these figures that have been flaunted all over, but not seeing really much change on the ground.
Dr. Godfrey Hove speaking to us from Harare there on those elections and the implications of what could be happening. Back home, Eskom executives